The War of the Roses is over. The House of York, led by King Edward IV, celebrates victory over the House of Lancaster.
Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious summer by this son of York, and all the clouds that lowered upon our house, in the deep bosom of the ocean buried. Grim-visaged war hath smoothed his wrinkled front, and now, instead of mounting barbed steeds to fright the souls of fearful adversaries, he capers nimbly in a lady's chamber to the lascivious pleasing of a lute. But I that am rudely stamped, deformed, unfinished, sent before my time into this breathing world, scarce half made up, and that so lamely and unfashionable that dogs bark at me as I halt by them. Why, I, in this weak, piping time of peace, have no delight to pass away the time, unless to spy my shadow in the sun and descant on mine own deformity. And therefore, since I cannot prove a lover, I am determined to prove a villain. Plots have I laid, inductions dangerous, to set my brother Clarence and the king in deadly hate, the one against the other. And if King Edward be as true and just as I am subtle, false, and treacherous, then this day should Clarence closely be mewed up about a prophecy which says that G of Edward's heirs shall the murderer be. Dive thoughts down to my soul. Here Clarence comes. Brother, what means this armed guard?
His Majesty, tendering my person's safety, hath appointed this conduct to convey me to the tower.
Upon what cause?
Because my name is George.
Alack, my lord, that fault is none of yours.
He hearkens after prophecies and dreams, and says a wizard told him that by G his issue disinherited should be. And for my name of George begins with G, it follows in his thought that I am he.
'Tis not the king that sends you to the tower, but Elizabeth, his wife, Clarence, 'tis she that tempers him to this extremity. We are not safe, Clarence. We are not safe.
I beseech your graces both to pardon me. His Majesty hath straitly given in charge that no man shall have private conference of what degree soever with your brother.
We speak no treason, man. We say the king is wise and virtuous.
I beseech your grace to pardon me, and withal forbear your conference with the noble duke.
We know thy charge, Brackenbury, and will obey.
Brother, farewell. I will unto the king. Meantime, this deep disgrace in brotherhood touches me deeper than you can imagine.
I know it pleaseth neither of us well.
Well, your imprisonment shall not be long. Meantime, be patient.
I must perforce. Farewell.
Go, tread the path that thou shalt ne'er return. Simple, plain Clarence, I do love thee so, that I will shortly send thy soul to heaven.
Good time of day unto my gracious lord.
As much unto you, my good Lord Chamberlain. Well are you welcome to the open air. How hath your lordship brooked imprisonment?
With patience, noble lord, as prisoners must, but I shall live, my lord, to give them thanks that were the cause of my imprisonment.
No doubt, no doubt. And so shall Clarence too. Now, Lord Chamberlain, what news abroad?
The king is sickly, weak, and melancholy, and his physicians fear for him greatly.
Now, by St. Paul, this news is bad indeed. What, is he in his sick bed?
Yes.
Go you before, and I will follow you. He cannot live, I hope, and must not die till George be packed with post-horse up to heaven. I'll in to urge his hatred more to Clarence, and if I fail not in my deep intent, my brother hath not another day to live, and leave the world for me to bustle in. For then I'll marry Warwick's youngest daughter. What, though I killed her husband and her father? Clarence still breathes. Edward still lives and reigns. When they are gone, then must I count my gains.
The graves of Lady Anne's husband Edward and her father-in-law Henry VI.
Cursed be the hands that made these fatal holes. Cursed be the heart that had the heart to do it. If ever he have wife let her he made, most miserable by the death of him, as I am made by my poor lord and thee, O King Henry. What black magician conjures up this fiend?
Sweet saint, for charity be not so cursed.
Foul devil, for God's sake hence and trouble me not, for thou hast made me happy earth thy hell. Villain, thou know'st no law of God nor man, no beast so fierce, but know some touch of pity.
But I know none, and therefore am no beast.
Oh, wonderful, when devils tell truth.
Vouchsafe divine perfection of a woman, of these supposed evils to give me leave, by circumstance but to acquit myself.
Vouchsafe diffuse infection of a man, for these known evils but to give me leave, by circumstances to curse thy cursed self.
Fairer than tongue can name thee, let me have some patient leisure to excuse myself.
Fouler than heart can thank thee, thou canst make no excuse currents but to hang thyself.
I kill your husband.
Why? Then he is alive.
Nay, he is dead, and slain by Edward's hand.
In thou foul throat thou liest. Queen Margaret saw thy murderous dagger smoking in his blood. Didst thou not kill this king?
I grant ye, yea.
Dost grant me, hedgehog? Oh, he was gentle, mild, and virtuous.
The fitter for the king of heaven that hath him.
He is in heaven where thou shalt never come, and thou unfit for any place but hell.
One place else, if you will hear me name it.
Some dungeon.
Your bedchamber. Is not the causer of the timeless deaths as blameful as the executioner?
Thou art the cause and most accursed effect.
Your beauty was the cause of that effect. Your beauty, which did haunt me in my sleep, to undertake the death of all the world, so I might live 1 hour in your sweet bosom.
If I thought that, I tell thee, homicide. These nails should rend that beauty from my cheeks.
It is a quarrel most unnatural to be revenged on him that loveth thee.
It is a quarrel just and reasonable to be revenged on him that slew my husband.
He that bereft thee, lady, of thy husband, did it to help thee to a better husband.
His better doth not breathe upon the earth.
He lives that loves thee better than he could.
Where is he?
Here. Why dost thou spit on me?
Would it were mortal poison for thy sake.
Never came poison from so sweet a place.
Never hung poison on a fowler toad. Out of my sight, thou dost infect my eyes.
If thy revengeful heart cannot forgive, lo, here, I lend thee this sharp-pointed blade, which, if thou please to hide in this true breast, and let the soul forth that adoreth thee, I lay it open to the deadly stroke. Nay, do not pause, for I did kill King Henry, but 'twas thy beauty that provoked me. 'Twas I that stabbed your husband, but 'twas thy heavenly face that set me on. take up the knife again, or take up me.
I will not be thy executioner.
Then bid me kill myself, and I will do it.
I have already. I would I knew thy heart.
'Tis figured in my tongue.
I fear me both her false.
Then never man was true.
Well, put up your sword.
But shall I live in hope?
All men, I hope, live so.
Vouchsafe to wear this ring.
To take is not to give.
Look, how my ring encompasseth thy finger. Even so thy breast encloseth my poor heart. Wear both of them, for both of them are thine. And if thy poor, devoted suppliant may but beg one favor at thy gracious hand, may it please thee presently to repair to Westminster. I beseech you. Bid me farewell.
'Tis more than you deserve. But since you teach me how to flatter you, imagine I have said farewell already.
Was ever woman in this humor wooed? Was ever woman in this humor won? I'll have her, but I'll not keep her long. What? I that killed her husband and her father, to take her in her heart's extremest hate, with curses in her mouth, tears in her eyes, and yet to win her, all the world to nothing. And will she yet debase her eyes on me? On me, that halt and am unshapen thus? Upon my life, she finds, although I cannot, myself to be a marvelous proper man. Shine out, fair sun, till I have bought a glass, that I may see my shadow as I pass.
Westminster Palace.
Have patience, sister. There's no doubt His Majesty will soon recover his accustomed health.
If he were dead, what would become of me?
No other harm but such a loss of a lord.
The loss of such a lord includes all harm.
The heavens have blessed you with a son and heir to be your comforter when he is gone.
No, he is young, and his minority is put unto the trust of Richard Gloucester, a man that loves not me nor my brother.
Is it concluded that he shall be protector?
But so it must be if the king miscarry.
Here come the lords of Buckingham and Stanley.
Good time of day unto your royal grace.
Saw you the king today, Lord Buckingham?
The Duke of Buckingham and I are come from visiting His Majesty.
What is the likelihood of his recovery, lords?
Madam, good hope. His grace speaks cheerfully, and he desires to make atonement betwixt Gloucester and your brother and sons, and betwixt them and my Lord Hastings, and sent to bring them to his royal presence.
Would all were well, but that will never be.
They do me wrong, and I will not endure it. Who are they that complain unto the king, that I, forsooth, am stern and love them not? Because I cannot flatter and speak fair, smile in men's faces, smooth, deceive and cog, duck with French nods and apish courtesy, I must be held a rancorous enemy.
To whom in all this presence speaks, your grace?
To thee, thou hast nor honesty nor grace, Lord Grey. When have I injured thee? When done thee wrong? Or thee, Lord Rivers? Or thee, Elizabeth? A plague upon you all!
Come, come, we know your meaning, brother Gloucester. You envy my advancement and my friends. God grant we may never have need of you.
Our brother George, imprisoned by your means, myself disgraced, and the nobility held in contempt.
I never did incense His Majesty against the Duke of Clarence, but have been an earnest advocate to plead for him. My lord, you do me shameful injury, to taunt me thus, to scorn and bait me. By heaven, I will acquaint his majesty of those gross taunts I often have endured.
What, madam? Threat you me with telling to the king? Tell him and spare not. Look, what I have said I will avouch in presence of the king. I dare adventure to be sent to the tower. Ere you were queen, I or your husband king, I was a pack horse in his great affairs. To royalize his blood, I spilt mine own.
Hear me, you wrangling pirates that fall out in sharing that which you have pilled from me. Which of you trembles not that looks on me? O gentle villain, do not turn away.
Foul wrinkled witch, what makest thou in my sight?
A husband and a son thou owest to me, and thou a kingdom, all of you allegiance. The sorrow that I have by right is yours, and all the pleasures you usurp are mine. Out, devil. I remember them too well. Thou killed my husband and my poor son, a murderous villain, and so still art thou.
I would to God my heart were flint like Edward's, or Edward's soft and pitiful like mine. I am too childish, foolish for this world.
Hie thee to hell for shame, and leave this world.
Wert thou now banished on pain of death?
I was, but I do find more pain in banishment than death can yield me here by my abode.
The curse my noble father laid on thee, denounced against thee, are all fallen upon thee. And God, not we, hath plagued thy bloody deed.
And were you snarling all before I came, ready to catch each other by the throat, and turn you all your hatred now on me? Did York's dread curse prevail so much with heaven? Why then give way, dull clouds, to my quick curses. Edward, thy son, who now is Prince of Wales, for Edward, my son, who was Prince of Wales, die in his youth by like untimely violence. Long die thy happy days before thy death, and after many lengthened hours of grief, die neither mother, wife, nor England's queen.
Have done thy curses, thou hateful withered hag!
And leave out thee? Stay, dog, for thou shalt hear me. No sleep close up that deadly eye of thine, unless it be whilst some tormenting dream affrights thee with a hell of ugly devils, thou elvish-marked, abortive, rooting hog!
Margaret!
Thus have you breathed your curse against yourself.
Poor painted queen, vain flourish of my fortune, why strewest thou sugar on that bottled spider, whose deadly web ensnareth thee about? The time will come when thou shalt wish for me to help thee curse that poisonous bunch-backed toad.
Dispute not with her, she is lunatic.
Witness my son, now in the shade of death, whose bright outshining beams thy cloudy wrath hath in eternal darkness folded up.
Peace! Have done! For shame, if not for charity!
O Buckingham, take heed of yonder dog. Look, when he fawns, he bites, and when he bites, his venom tooth will rankle to the death. Have naught to do with him, beware of him.
What doth she say, my lord of Buckingham?
Nothing that I respect, my gracious lord.
What? Dost thou scorn me for my gentle counsel, and soothe the devil that I warn thee from? Oh, but remember this another day, when he shall spit thy very heart with sorrow, and say poor Margaret was a prophetess. Live each of you the subjects to his hate, and he to yours, and all of you to God's.
My hair doth stand on end to hear her curses.
So doth mine. I'm mused why she's at liberty.
She hath too much wrong, and I repent my part thereof that I have done to her.
I never did her any to my knowledge.
But you have all the vantage of her wrong.
Madam, his majesty doth call for you, and for your grace, and you, my noble lords.
Catesby, I come. Lords, will you go with me?
The secret mischiefs that I set abroach, I lay unto the grievous charge of others. Clarence, whom I indeed have laid in darkness, I do beweep to many simple gulls, namely to Hastings, Stanley, Buckingham, and say it is the queen and her allies that stir the king against the duke my brother. Now they believe it, and withal wet me to be revenged on rivers Dorset gray. And thus I clothe my naked villainy, and seem a saint, when most I play the devil. But now, here come my executioners. Are you now going to dispatch this deed?
We are, my lord, and come to have the warrant that we may be admitted where he is.
Well thought upon. I have it here about me. Now, sirs, be sudden in the execution. Withal obdurate, do not hear him plead. He may move your hearts to pity if you mark him.
Fear not, my lord, we will not stand to prate. We come to use our hands, and not our tongues.
Your eyes drop millstones when fools' eyes drop tears. I like you, lads. About your business straight. Go. Go!
The Tower of London.
Why looks your grace so heavily today?
Oh, I have passed a miserable night, so full of ugly sights, of dreadful dreams. I would not spend another such a night, though 'twere to buy a world of happy days.
What was your dream, my lord?
My dream was lengthened after life, and then began the tempest to my soul, with that grim ferryman that poets write of, unto the kingdom of perpetual night. A shadow like an angel with bright hair dabbled in blood, who shrieked out aloud, "Clarence is come, false, fleeting, perjured Clarence, who stabbed me in the fields by Tewkesbury. Seize on him, furies, take him to your torments." With that, methought a legion of foul fiends environed me about, and howled in mine ears such hideous cries, that with the very noise I trembling waked, and for a season after could not believe but that I was in hell.
No marvel, my lord, though it affrighted you. I am afraid to hear you tell it.
Oh, Brackenbury, I have done these things, which now bear evidence against my soul. For Edward's sake, and see how he requites me. I pray thee, sit by me. My soul is heavy, and I fain would sleep.
I will, my lord. God give your grace good rest. What are you, and how came you here?
I would speak with George, Duke of Clarence, and I came here on my legs.
Are you so brief?
Sir, it's better to be brief than to be tedious. Read our commission, talk no more.
Go. What, art thou afraid?
Faith, some certain dregs of conscience are yet within me.
Remember our reward when the deed is done.
Then must he die? I had forgotten the reward.
Where is thy conscience now?
In the Duke of Gloucester's purse. Come, let's do this deed.
In God's name, what art thou?
A man, as you are.
Who sent you hither? Wherefore do you come? To murder me?
Aye, aye.
Are you called forth from out a world of men to slay the innocent? What is my offense? Where is the evidence that does accuse me?
What we will do, we do upon command.
And he that commanded is the king.
I am his brother, and I love him well. If you be hired for money, go back again, and I will send you to my brother Gloucester. He shall reward you better for my life than Edward will for tidings of my death.
You are deceived. Your brother Gloucester hates you.
Oh no, he loves me, and he holds me dear.
Thou deceivest thyself. 'Tis he that sent us hither now to slaughter thee.
It cannot be.
Now he delivers thee to the joys of heaven.
My friend, I spy some pity in thy looks. Come thou on my side and entreat for me.
Make peace with God, for you must die, my lord. If all this will not do, I'll drown you in that bucket within.
Westminster Palace.
Why so? Now have I done a good day's work. You peers continue this united league, and now in my peace my soul shall part to heaven. Rivers and Hastings, take each other's hand. Disassemble not your hatred, swear your love.
By heaven, my heart is purged from grudging hate, and with my hand I seal my true heart's love.
So thrive I, as I truly swear the like.
Take heed, you dally, not before your king.
I swear.
As do I.
Madam, yourself are not exempt in this, nor your son Dorset Buckingham, nor you Grey. You have been factious, once one against the other. Wife, love Lord Hastings, let him kiss your hand, and what you do it unfeignedly.
Here, Hastings, I will nevermore remember our former hatred.
This interchange of love shall be unviable.
And so swear I, my lord.
Now, my Lord Buckingham, seal thou this league, and make me happy in your unity.
Whenever Buckingham doth turn his hate on you and yours, God punish me.
So full of comfort, Buckingham. Is this thy vow unto my sickly heart?
And in good time, here comes the noble Duke.
Good morrow to my sovereign king and queen, and princely peers. A happy time of day.
Happy indeed as we have spent the day, made peace and amity, fair love of hate, between these swelling, wrong incensed peers.
A blessed labor, my most sovereign lord. 'Tis death to me to be at enmity. I hate it, and desire all good men's love. I do not know what Englishman alive with whom my soul is at any jot at odds.
My sovereign liege, I do beseech your majesty to take our brother Clarence to your grace.
Why, madam, have I offered love for this to be so flouted in this royal presence? Who knows not that the royal duke is dead?
All-seeing heaven! What a world is this?
Is Clarence dead? The order was reversed.
But he, poor soul, by your first order died, and that a winged Mercury did bear. Some tardy cripple bore the countermand, that came too late to see him buried.
Who sued to me for him, who in my rage kneeled at my feet, and bade me advised? Who spoke of brotherhood, who spoke of love? But for my brother not a man would speak, and none of you would once plead for his life. Oh God, I fear thy justice will take hold on me, and you and mine and yours for this. Come, Elizabeth. Oh, my poor Clarence.
This is the fruit of rashness. Marked you not how that the guilty kindred of the queen looked pale when they did hear of Clarence's death? Oh, they did urge it still unto the king. God will revenge it. But come, we'll comfort Edward with our company.
We wait upon your grace.
Windsor's Castle.
Oh, who shall hinder me to wail and weep? To chide my fortune and torment myself?
What means this rude impatience?
Edward, my lord, your son, our king, is dead. If you will live, lament, if die be brief, that our swift-winged souls may follow the kings to his new kingdom of perpetual night.
So much interest have I in thy sorrow, as I had title in thy noble husband. Thou art a widow, yet thou art a mother, and hast the comfort of thy children left thee. But death has snatched my husband from mine arms, and plucked 2 crutches from my feeble limbs, my sons, Edward and Clarence.
Oh, for my husband, for my dear Lord Edward.
Sister, we thank you like a careful mother. O young Prince Edward, your son, send straight for him, let him be crowned, to him for comfort lives.
Sister, have comfort. All of us have cause to wail the dimming of our shining star, but none can cure their harms by wailing them. Madam, my mother, I do cry you mercy. I did not see your grace. I crave your blessing.
God bless thee, and put meekness in thy heart, love, charity, obedience, and true duty.
Amen.
It seemeth good that with some little train forthwith from Ludlow, the young prince be fetched hither to London to be crowned our king.
Why would some little train, my Lord Buckingham?
Marry, my lord, lest by a multitude the new healed wound of civil war should break out, which would be so much the more dangerous by how much the estate is green and yet ungoverned.
Then be it so, and go we to determine who they shall be that straight shall post to Ludlow. Madam, you, my mother, will you go to give your censures in this weighty business?
With all our
hearts.
My lord, whoever journeys to the prince, for God's sake, let not us 2 stay behind, for, by the way, I'll sort occasion to part the queen's proud kindred from the prince.
My other self, my counsel's consistory, my oracle, my prophet, my dear cousin. Like a child, I will follow thy direction. Towards Ludlow, then, for we'll not stay behind.
The Duchess of York's home, Baynard's castle.
Last night, I hear they lay at Northampton. Tomorrow or next day they will be here.
I long with all my heart to see Edward. I hope he is much grown since last I seen him.
I hear his royal brother hath almost overta'en him in his growth.
Ay, mother, but I would not have it so.
Why, my good cousin? It is good to grow.
Gran'm, one night as we did sit at supper, my uncle Rivers talked how I did grow, more than my brother. I quoth my uncle Gloucester, small herbs have grace, great weeds do grow apace.
Good faith, good faith. The saying did not hold in him that did object the same to thee. He was the wretchedest thing when he was young, so long a-growing and so leisurely. As this rule were true, he should be gracious.
Marry, they say my uncle grew so fast that he could gnaw a crust at 2 hours old. 'Twas full 2 years ere I could get a tooth.
A parlous boy, go to. You are too shrewd.
Here comes Lord Brackenbury. What news?
Such news, my lady, as grieves me to unfold.
How fares the prince?
Well, madam, and in health.
What is thy news, then?
Lord Rivers and Lord Grey are arrested and sent to prison.
Who hath committed them?
The mighty dukes, Gloucester and Buckingham.
For what offense?
The sum of all I can I have disclosed.
I mean, I see the downfall of our house. The tiger now hath seized the gentle hind. I see as in a map, the end of all.
My husband lost his life to get the crown, and often up and down my sons were tossed, make war upon themselves, blood against blood, self against self.
Come. My boy, we must to sanctuary. Madam, farewell.
Wait, I will go with you. The city of London, the Church of All Hallows by the Tower.
Welcome, sweet prince, to London.
Welcome, dear cousin.
I want more uncles here to welcome me. Where are my uncles Rivers and Gray?
Those uncles which you want were dangerous. Your grace attended to their sugared words, but looked not on the poison of their hearts. God keep you from them, and from such false friends.
My lord, the mayor of London comes to greet you.
God bless your grace with health and happy days.
I thought my mother and my brother York would long ere this have met us on the way. Welcome, my lord. What will our mother come?
Your mother and your brother York have taken sanctuary. The tender prince would fain have come with me to meet your grace, but by his mother was perforce withheld.
Fie, what an indirect and peevish course of this is hers. Bishop, will your grace persuade the queen to send the Duke of York unto his princely brother presently? If she deny, Lord Hastings go with him, and from her jealous arms pluck him perforce.
My lord of Buckingham, God forbid we should infringe the holy privilege of blessed sanctuary.
You are too senseless obstinate, my lord, too ceremonious and traditional. You break not sanctuary in seizing him. Oft have I heard of sanctuary men, but sanctuary children, ne'er till now.
My lord, you shall overrule my mind for once. Come on, Lord Hastings, will you go with me?
Hey, Uncle Gloucester, when our brother come, where shall we sojourn till our coronation?
If I may counsel you, some day or two your highness shall repose you at the Tower.
I do not like the Tower of any place. I'll tell you what, my cousin Buckingham.
What, my gracious lord?
And if I lived until I be a man, I'll win our ancient right in France again, or die a soldier as I lived a king.
So wise, so young, they say, do never live long.
Now in good time, here comes the Duke of York.
My little brother, how fare you?
Well, my gracious lord, so must I call you now.
How fares our cousin, noble Lord of York?
I thank you, gentle uncle. Oh, my lord, you say that idle weeds are fast in growth. The prince my brother hath outgrown me far.
He hath, my lord.
I pray you, uncle, give me the stagger.
What? Would you have my weapon, little lord?
Uncle, your grace knows how to bear with him.
You mean to bear me, not to bear with me. Uncle, my brother mocks both you and me, because that I am little, like an ape. He thinks that you should bear me on your shoulders.
With what a sharp provided wit he reasons. So cunning and so young is wonderful.
My lord, will't please you pass along? Myself and my good cousin Buckingham will to your mother, to entreat of her to meet you at the Tower and welcome you.
What? Will you go into the Tower, my lord?
My lord protector needs will have it so.
I shall not sleep in quiet at the Tower.
Why? What should you fear?
Mary, my uncle Clarence' angry ghost. My grandam told me he was murdered there.
I fear no uncle's dead.
Nor none that live, I hope.
And if they live, I hope I need not fear. But come, my lord, and with a heavy heart, thinking on them, go I unto the Tower.
Oh, 'tis a wicked boy, bold, quick, impertinent, forward. He is all the mother's, from the top to toe.
Well, let them rest. Come hither, Catesby. What thinkst thou? Is it not an easy matter to make William Lord Hastings of our mind for the installment of this Duke in the seat royal of this famous isle?
He for King Edward's sake so loves the prince that he will not be one to aught against him.
What thinkst thou then of Stanley? What will he?
He will do all in all as Hastings stuff.
Go, gentle Catesby, and, as if it were far off, sound thou Lord Hastings, how doth he stand affected to our purpose, and summon him tomorrow to the Tower. If thou dost find him tractable to us, encourage him, and show him all our reasons. If he be leaden, icy cold, unwilling, be thou so too, and so break off your talk and give us notice of his inclination.
Commend me to Lord Hastings. Tell him, Catesby, his ancient knot of dangerous adversaries tomorrow are let blood at Pomfret Castle.
Now, my lord, what shall we do if we perceive Lord Hastings will not yield to our conspiracies?
Chop off his head, man. And look, when I am king, claim thou of me the earldom of Hereford, and the movables whereof the king my brother was possessed.
I'll claim that promise at your grace's hands.
And look to have it yielded with all willingness.
Lord Hastings' house.
Good morrow, Catesby. What news in this our tottering state?
It is a reeling world indeed, my lord, and I believe will never stand upright till Richard wear the garland of the realm.
How? Wear the garland? Dost thou mean the crown?
Aye, my good lord.
I'll have this crown of mine cut from my shoulders ere I will see the crown so foul misplaced. But canst thou guess that he doth aim at it?
Aye, on my life. And thereupon he sends you this good news, that this same very night your enemies, the kindred of the queen, must die at Pomfret Castle.
Today shalt thou behold a subject die for truth, for duty, and for loyalty?
God keep the prince from all the pack of you. A nut you are of damned bloodsuckers.
Dispatch, the limit of your lives is out.
Now Margaret's curse is fallen upon our heads for standing by when Richard stabbed her son.
Indeed, I am no mourner for that news, because they have long been mine enemies.
'Tis a vile thing to die, my gracious lord, when men are unprepared and look not for it.
Oh, monstrous, monstrous. And so falls it out, with Rivers and with Gray.
Be satisfied, dear God, with our true blood, which, as thou knowest, unjustly must be spilt.
Make haste, the hour of death is expiate.
Come, Gray, let us embrace and take our leave of this world.
So falls it out, with Rivers and with Gray. And so 'twill do with some men else who think themselves as safe as thou and I, who, as thou knowst, are dear to princely Richard and to Buckingham.
The princes both make high account of you, for they account his head upon the bridge.
I know they do, and I have well deserved it.
My lord, good morrow. Good morrow, Catesby. By the holy rood, I do not like these several counsels I.
My lord, I hold my life as dear as you do yours. Think you but that I know our state secure, I would be so triumphant as I am?
Lords Rivers and Gray, when they rode from London, were jocund, and supposed their state was sure, and they indeed had no cause to mistrust. This sudden stab of rancor I mistrust. Pray God, I say, I prove a needless coward. Shall we toward the Tower? The council waits.
Today the lords you talk of are beheaded.
Come, my lord, let us away.
The Tower of London.
My lords, at once, the cause why we are met is to determine of the coronation of young Prince Edward.
Are all things readied for the occasion?
They are, and want but nomination.
Tomorrow, then, I judge a happy day.
Who knows the Lord Protector's mind herein? Who is most inward with the royal duke?
Your grace, we think should soonest know his mind.
My lord, we know each other's faces, but for our hearts he knows no more of mine than I of yours. Lord Hastings, you and he are bound in love.
I thank his grace. I know he loves me well, but for his purpose in the coronation I have not sounded him. But you, my noble lords, may name the time, and in the Duke's behalf I'll give my voice.
Now in good time, here comes the Duke himself.
My noble lords and friends all, good morrow. I have been long a sleeper this early morning.
Had not you come upon your cue, my lord, William Lord Hastings had pronounced your your voice for crowning of the king.
Then my Lord Hastings, no man might be so bold. His lordship knows me well, and loves me well.
I thank your grace.
My Lord of Ely, when I was last in Holborn, I saw good strawberries in your garden there. I do beseech you send for some of them.
Marry and will, my lord, with all my heart.
Cousin of Buckingham, a word with you. Catesby hath sounded Hastings in our business, and finds the testy gentleman so hot as he will lose his head ere give consent.
Withdraw you hence, my lord. I'll follow you.
We have not set down this day of triumph. Tomorrow, in mine opinion, is too sudden.
Where is the Duke of Gloucester? I have sent for these strawberries.
His grace looks cheerfully and smooth today. When he doth bid good morrow with such a spirit, I think there is never a man in Christendom that can less hide his love or hate than he. For by his face straight shall you know his heart.
What of his heart perceive you in his face by any likelihood he showed today?
Marry, that with no man here is he offended, for were he had shown it in his looks.
I pray you all, tell me what they deserve that do conspire my death with devilish plots of damned witchcraft, and that have prevailed upon my body with their hellish charms.
Tender love I bear your grace, my lord, moves me to say they have deserved death.
Then be your eyes the witness of this evil. See how I am bewitched. Behold, mine arm is like a blasted sapling, withered up. And this is Edward's wife, that monstrous witch, that by her witchcraft thus have marked me.
If they have done this thing, my gracious lord.
If, tellest thou me of ifs? Thou art a traitor! Off with his head. Now by God's blood I swear, I will not dine until I see the same. Catesby and Ratcliffe, look that it be done. The rest that love me, rise and follow me.
Woe for England, and not a witch for me, for I too fond might have prevented this. Stanley did dream the boar did rouse our helms, but I did scorn it, and disdain to fly. I now repent that I rejoiced was too triumphing, how mine enemies today at Pomfret were butchered, and I myself secure in grace and favor. Oh, Margaret, Margaret, now thy heavy curse is lighted on poor Hastings' wrecked head.
This is the indictment of the good Lord Hastings. 5 hours have I spent to write it over, and yet within these 3 hours lived Lord Hastings, untainted, unexamined, free, at liberty. Here's a good world the while. Why, who's so foolish that seeth not this palpable device? Yet who's so blind but says he sees it not? Bad is the world. Bad is the world, and all will come to naught when such bad dealings must be seen in thought.
Dispatched, my lord. The Duke would be at dinner. Make a short shrift. He longs to see your head.
Oh, bloody Richard, Miserable England! I prophesy the fearfulest time to thee that ever wretched age hath looked upon. Come, lead me to the block. Bear him my head. They smile at me, that shortly shall be dead.
Westminster Palace.
Where is Catesby?
He comes and brings the mayor along.
Here is the head of that ignoble traitor, the dangerous and unsuspected Lord Hastings.
So dear I loved the man that I must weep. I took him for the plainest, harmless creature that breathed upon this earth a Christian.
Well, he was the covetous, sheltered traitor that ever lived. Would you imagine? The subtle traitor this day had plotted in the council chamber to murder me and my good lord of Gloucester.
What, had he so?
What? Think you we are savages or infidels? Or that we would, against the form of law, proceed thus rashly to the villain's death, but that the extreme peril of the case, the peace of England, and our person's safety enforced us to this execution.
Now fair befall you. He deserved his death, and you, my good lords, both have well proceeded to warn false traitors from the like attempts.
My good lord, we would have had you heard the traitor speak, and timorously confess the manner and the purpose of his treason, that you might well have signified the same unto the citizens, who haply may misconstrue us in him, and wail his death.
And doubt you not. Right, noble princes both. But I'll acquaint our duteous citizens with all your just proceedings in this cause.
And to that end, we wished your lordship here to avoid the carping censures of the world.
But since you come too late of our intents, yet witness what you hear we did intend, and so, my good Lord Mayor, we bid you farewell.
Go. After cousin Buckingham. There, at your best advantage of the time, infer the bastardy of Edward's children. But touch this sparingly, as 'twere far off, because you know, my lord, my mother lives.
Fear not, my lord, I'll play the order. Towards 3 or 4 o'clock look for news.
Now will I in to take some privy order, to draw the brats of Clarence out of sight, and to give notice that no manner of person at any time have recourse unto the princes.
The City of London, St. Paul's Church.
How now, my lord? What say the citizens?
Now, by the Holy Mother of our Lord, the citizens are mute and speak not a word.
Touched you the bastardy of Edward's children?
I did, and the astacious greediness of his desires, his tyranny for trifles, his own bastardy, his resemblance being not like the Duke. Withal, I did infer your lineaments, both in your form and nobleness of mind, laid open all your victories in battle, your discipline in war, wisdom in peace, your bounty, virtue, fair humility, and when mine oratory grew to an end, I bid them that did love their country's good cry, God save Richard, England's royal king!
Ah, and did they so?
No, so God help me, they spake not a word, but like dumb statues or breathing stones gazed on each other and looked deadly pale, which when I saw, I reprehended them.
What tongueless blocks were they? Would they not speak? Will not the mayor then and his brethren come?
The mayor is here at hand, intend some fear. Be not you spoke with, but by mighty suit. Look, you get a prayer book in your hand and stand betwixt 2 churchmen good, my lord, and be not easily won to our request. Play the maid's part, still answer nay, and take it.
I go. And if you plead as well for them as I can say nay to thee for myself, no doubt we'll bring it to a happy issue.
Oh, go, the Lord Mayor knocks. Welcome, my lord. I dance attendance here. I think the Duke will not be spoke withal. Catesby, what says the Lord Protector?
He is within, with 2 right reverend fathers, divinely bent to meditation, and no worldly suit would he be moved to move him from his holy exercise.
Return, good Catesby, to the Duke again. Tell him, myself, the mayor, and citizens, in deep designs and matters of great moment, are come to have some conference with his grace.
I'll tell him what you say, my lord.
Ah, my lord, this prince is not an Edward. He is not lolling on a lewd love bed, but on his knees at meditation, not dallying with a brace of courtesans, but praying to enrich his watchful soul. Happy were England would this gracious prince take on himself the sovereignty thereof. But sure, I fear we shall ne'er win him to it.
God forbid his grace should say us nay.
I fear he will. How now, Catesby? What says his grace?
My lord, he wonders to what end you have assembled such troops of citizens to speak with him. My lord, he fears you mean no good to him.
By heaven, I come in perfect love to him, and so once more return and tell his grace. When holy and devout religious men are at their beads, 'tis hard to draw them thence. So sweet is zealous contemplation.
See where he kneels.
And see, a book of prayer in his hand. Famous Plantagenet, most gracious prince, lend favorable ears to our request, and pardon us the interruption of thy devotion and right Christian zeal.
I do suspect I have done some offense that seems disgracious in the city's eyes, and that you come to reprehend my ignorance.
We come today to heartily solicit your gracious self to take on you the charge and kingly government of this your land. In this just cause come I to move your grace.
Definitively thus I answer you. Your love deserves my thanks, but my desert unmeritable shuns your high request. But God be thanked, there is no need of me. The royal tree hath left us royal fruit. The young prince in the tower lodged will well become the seat of majesty. On him I lay what you would lay on me.
So good, my lord, take to your royal self this proffered benefit of majesty.
Do good, my lord. Your citizens entreat you.
Alas, why would you heap these cares on me? I am unfit for state and majesty. I cannot, nor I will not yield to you.
Yet, whether you accept our suit or no, your brother's son shall never reign our king. But we will plant some other in the throne to the disgrace and downfall of your house. And in this resolution, here we leave you. Come, citizens. Zoons, I'll entreat no more.
Oh, do not swear, my cousin of Buckingham.
Call them again, my lord, and accept their suit. If you deny them all the land, do rue it.
Would you enforce me to a world of care? Call them again. I am not made of stone, but penetrable to their kind entreats, albeit against my conscience and my soul. Cousin of Buckingham, and you sage grave men, since you will buckle fortune on my back, but God so knows, and you may partly see, how far I am from the desire thereof.
God bless your grace. We see it and will say it.
In saying so, you shall but say the truth.
Then I salute you with this royal title. Long live Richard, England's royal king.
Long live Richard, England's royal king.
Tomorrow will it please you to be crowned?
Even when you please, since you will have it so.
And so most joyfully we take our leave.
I will to my holy prayers again. Farewell, good cousin. Farewell, gentle friends.
Westminster Palace. Westminster Palace.
God give your graces both a happy and joyful time of day.
As much to you, good sister. Whither away?
No further than a tower to greet the gentle princes there.
Kind sister, thanks. We'll enter all together. Lord Brackenbury, pray you, by your leave, how doth the prince and my young son of York?
Right well, dear madam. By your patience I may not suffer you to visit them. The king hath straitly charged the contrary.
The king? Why, who's that?
I mean the Lord Protector.
The Lord protect him from that kingly title. I am their mother. Who should keep me from them?
I am their father's mother. I will see them.
Their aunt I am in law and love their mother. Then bring me to the sights.
No, madam, no. I may not leave it so. I am bound by oath, and therefore pardon me.
Come, madam, you must straight to Westminster, there to be crowned Richard's royal queen.
Oh, I shall swoon with this dead-killing news.
Mother, how fares your grace?
Oh, Dorset, speak not to me. Get thee hence. If thou wilt outstrip death, go cross the seas and live with Richmond from the reach of hell. Go hide thee from this slaughterhouse, lest thou increase the number of the dead.
Take all swift advantage of the hours. You shall have letters from me to my son to meet you on the way, and welcome you.
Oh, my accursed womb, the bed of death, a cockatrice thou hast hatched to the world, whose unavoidable eye is murderous.
Come, madam, come, I in all haste was sent.
I would to God that the inclusive verge of golden metal that must round my brow were red-hot steel to sear me to the brain. Anointed let me be with deadly venom, and die ere men could say, God save the queen.
Go, go, poor soul, I envy not thy glory. To feed my humor, wish thyself no harm.
No! Why? When he that is my husband now came to me as I wept o'er Henry's corpse, when scarce the blood was well washed from his hands? Oh, when I say I looked on Richard's face, this was my wish. Be thou, quoth I, accursed. And when thou west, let sorrow hunt thy bed, and be thy wife if any be so mad as miserable by the life as thee, as thou hast made me by my dear husband's death. I prove the subject of my own soul's curse, for never yet 1 hour in his bed have I enjoyed the golden dew of sleep, but have been waked by his timorous dreams. Besides, he hates me for my father Warwick, and will no doubt shortly be rid of me.
Dorset, go thou to Richmond, and good fortune guide thee. Lady Anne, go thou to Richard, good angels guard thee. Go thou to sanctuary, and good thoughts possess thee. I to my grave, where peace and rest lie with me.
Westminster Abbey.
God save King Richard III.
Cousin of Buckingham,
My gracious sovereign.
but shall we wear these honors for a day, or shall they last and we rejoice in them?
Still live they, and forever may they last.
Oh, Buckingham, young Edward lives.
Say on, my loving lord.
Why, Buckingham, I say I would be king.
Why, so you are, my thrice renowned liege.
But Edward lives.
True, noble prince.
True, noble prince. Cousin, thou wert not wont to be so dull. Shall I be plain? I wish the bastards dead, and I would have it suddenly performed. What sayest thou? Speak now.
Your grace may do your pleasure.
Tut, tut. Thou art all ice. Thy kindness freezes. Say, have I thy consent that they shall die?
Give me some breath, some little pause, my lord, before I immediately speak in this. I will resolve your grace presently.
High-reaching Buckingham grows circumspect. Ratcliffe, knowest thou a man whom corrupting gold would tempt unto a close exploit of death?
My lord, I know a discontented gentleman whose humble means match not his haughty mind, and will, no doubt, tempt him to anything.
What is his name?
His name, my lord, is Tyrrell.
I know the man. Have him sent for. The deep revolving, witty Buckingham no more shall be the neighbor to my counsel. Come hither, Catesby. Rumor it abroad that Anne, my wife, is sick and like to die. I will take order for her keeping close. About it. I must be married to Clarence's daughter, or else my kingdom stands on brittle glass. Murder her brothers, and then marry her. Uncertain way of gain. But I am in so far in blood that sin will pluck on sin. Tear-falling pity dwells not in this eye.
James Tyrrell, and your most obedient subject.
Art thou indeed?
Prove me, my gracious sovereign.
Darest thou resolve to kill a friend of mine?
Ay, my lord, but I had rather kill two enemies.
Why, there thou hast it. Two deep enemies. Foes to my rest and my sweet sleep's disturbers. Tyrrell, I mean those bastards in the tower.
Let me have open means to come to them, and soon I'll rid you from the fear of them.
Thou singst sweet music. Go, by this token, rise and lend thy ear. Say it is done, and I will love thee, and prefer thee too.
'Tis done, my gracious lord.
My lord, I hear the Marquis Dorset's fled to Richmond, in those parts beyond the sea where he abides.
My lord, I have considered in my mind the late demand that you did sound me in.
Well, let that rest. Dorset is fled to Richmond.
I hear that news, my lord. My lord, I claim your gift. My due by promise, the earldom of Hereford and the movables, the which you promised I should possess. What says your highness to my just demand?
As I remember, Henry VI did prophesy that Richmond should be king, when Richmond was a little peevish boy. A king, perhaps.
My lord, your promise for the earldom.
Richmond. A bard of Ireland told me once I should not live long after I saw Richmond.
My lord.
I am not in the giving vein today.
Why, then resolve me whether you will or no.
Tut, tut. Thou troublest me. I am not in the vein.
Is it even so? Rewards he my deep service with such contempt, made I him king for this? Oh, let me think on Hastings and be gone to Richmond while my fearful head is on.
Westminster Palace.
Oh, now, what news?
My gracious sovereign, on the western coast rideth a powerful navy. 'Tis thought that Richmond is their admiral, and Buckingham does welcome them to shore.
Post to the Duke of Norfolk. Catesby,
Here, my lord.
fly to the Duke. Ratcliffe, post thou to Salisbury. When thou comest thither, dull unmindful villain, why standest thou still and goest not to the Duke?
First, my liege, let me know your mind. What from your grace I shall deliver to him.
Oh, true. Good Catesby, bid him levy straight the greatest strength and power he can make, and meet me presently at Salisbury.
I go.
What shall I do at Salisbury?
My mind is changed, sir. My mind is changed. How now? What news with you?
Richmond is on the seas, stirred up by Dorset, Buckingham, and Ely. He makes for England, there to claim the crown.
Is the king dead? The empire unpossessed? What heir of York is there alive but we? And who is England's king but great York's heir? Then tell me, what makes he upon the sea?
Unless for that, my liege, I cannot guess.
Unless for that, he comes to be your liege. Richmond is thy wife's son. He is thy stepson. Thou wilt revolt and fly to him, I fear.
No, mighty liege, therefore mistrust me not.
Where is thy power, then, to beat him back?
My good lord, my friends are in the north.
Cold friends to me. What do they in the north when they should serve their sovereign in the west?
They have not been commanded, mighty sovereign. Please it your majesty to give me leave. I'll muster up my friends and meet your grace, where and what time your majesty shall please.
Aye. Thou wouldst be gone to join with Richmond. I will not trust you, sir.
Most mighty sovereign, you have no cause to hold my friendship doubtful. I never was nor never will be false.
Go muster men, but leave behind your son, George Stanley. Look your heart be firm, or else his head's assurance is but frail. Stanley, look to your wife. If she convey letters to Richmond, you shall answer it.
So deal with him as I prove true to you.
My liege, at every hour more troops flock to your enemies, and so their power increaseth.
Nothing but songs of death! Out on you!
Tyrannous and bloody deed is done. The most arch of piteous massacre that ever yet this land was guilty of. And weep I like a child in their death's sad stories. Those tender babes girdled one another within their innocent alabaster arms. A book of prayers on their pillow lay, which once almost changed my mind. But oh, devil! I smothered those most replenished sweet works of nature. Those both are gone, with conscience and remorse. I could not speak, and so I left them both, to bring this tidings to the bloody king. And here he comes. All hail, my sovereign liege.
Kind Tyrrell, am I happy in thy news?
If to have done the thing you gave in charge beget your happiness, be happy then, for it is done, my lord.
Are they buried, Tyrrell?
The chaplain of the tower hath buried them.
Come to me, Tyrrell, late tonight. Meantime, but think how I may do thee good. Farewell till then. The sons of Edward sleep in Abraham's bosom, and Anne my wife hath bid the world good night. Now, for I know the traitor Richmond aims at young Elizabeth, my brother's daughter, and by that knot looks proudly upon the crown. To her I go. a jolly, thriving wooer.
My lord.
Good news or bad that thou comest in so bluntly?
Bad news, my lord. Bishop Ely is fled to Richmond, and Buckingham, backed with the hardy Welshman, is in the field, and still his power increaseth.
Ely with Richmond troubles me more near than Buckingham and his rash-levied army. Go, fire up men. My counsel is my shield. We must be brief when traitors brave the field.
The graves of Elizabeth's young sons, Edward and Richard.
Here in these confines silently have I lurked to watch the waning of mine adversaries. I will to France, hoping the consequence will prove as bitter, black, and tragical.
Ah, my young princes. Ah, my tender babes. If yet your gentle souls fly in the air, now hear your mother's lamentation.
So many miseries have crazed my voice, and my woe-wearied tongue is mute and dumb.
Wilt thou, O God, fly from such gentle lamb, and then throw them in the entrails of a wolf? Oh, didst thou sleep when such a deed was done?
Thou hadst 2 sons till Richard killed them. I had an Edward till a Richard killed him. I had a Henry till a Richard killed him. Thou hadst an Edward till a Richard killed him. Thou hadst a Richard till a Richard killed him.
I had a husband too, and thou didst kill him.
Thou hadst a Clarence too, and Richard killed him. From forth the kennel of thy womb hath crept a hellhound that doth hunt us all to death. That dog that had his teeth before his eyes to worry lambs and lap their gentle blood. That excellent grand tyrant of the earth.
O Harry's wife, triumph not in my woes. God witness with me, I have wept for thine.
Bear with me. I am hungry for revenge, and now I cloy me with beholding it. Thy Clarence, he is dead that killed my Edward. And the beholders of this tragic play, Lady Anne, Hastings, Rivers, and Grey, untimely smothered in their dusky graves. Richard yet lives. Hell's black intelligencer, cancel his bond of life. Dear God, I pray that I may live to say the dog is dead.
Oh, thou didst prophesy a time would come that I would wish for thee to help me curse that bottled spider, that foul bunch-backed toad.
I called thee then vain flourish of my fortune. I called thee then poor shadow, painted queen, the presentation of but what I was. A mother only mocked with 2 sweet babes, a dream of what thou wert, a breath, a bubble, a queen in jest, only to fill the scene. Where is thy husband now? Where be thy brothers? Where are thy children? Decline all this and see now what thou art. For happy wife, a most distressed widow. For joyful mother, one that wails the name. Thus hath the course of justice wheeled about, and left thee but a very prey to time. Now thy proud neck bears half my burthened yoke, from which even here I slip my weary neck, and leave the burthen of it all on thee. Farewell, York's wife, and queen of sad mischance. These English woes will make me smile in France.
Oh, thou well skilled in curses, stay a while, and teach me how to curse mine enemies.
Forbear to sleep the nights, and fast the days. Compare dead happiness with living woe. Think that thy babes were sweeter than they were, and he that slew them fouler than he is.
My words are dull. Oh, quicken them with thine.
Thy woes will make them sharp and pierce like mine.
Breath of bitter words let's smother. My damned son and thy 2 sweet sons smothered. I hear his drum.
Who intercepts my expedition?
Oh, she that should have intercepted thee by strangling thee in her accursed womb from all the slaughters, wretch, that thou hast done.
Tell me, thou villainous king, where are my children?
Toad, thou toad, where is thy brother, Clarence?
Where is kind Hastings, Rivers, and Lord Grey?
A husband and a son thou owest me.
Strike alarm drums. Let not the heavens hear these telltale women. Strike, I say.
Let me speak.
Do then, but I'll not listen.
I will be mild and gentle in my speech.
And brief, good mother, for I am in haste.
Art thou so hasty? I have stayed for thee. God knows in anguish, pain, and agony.
And came I not at last to comfort you?
Thou camest on earth to make the earth my hell. A grievous burthen that was thy birth to me. Thy school days, frightful, desperate, wild, and furious. Thy prime of manhood, daring, bold, venturous, but most bloody, and more treacherous, more mild, but yet more harmful, kind, hatred.
If I be so disgusting in your sight, let me march on and not offend your grace.
I prithee, hear me speak.
You speak too bitterly.
Hear me a word, for I shall never speak to thee again.
So,
either thou wilt die by God's just ordinance, ere from this war thou turn a conqueror, or I with grief and extreme age shall perish and never look upon thy face again. Therefore, take with thee my most grievous curse, and in the day and the heat of battle shall the little souls of Edward's children whisper the spirits of thine enemies, and promise them success and victory. Bloody thou art, bloody will be thy end. Shame serves thy life, and doth thy death attend.
Westminster Palace.
madam, I must speak a word with you.
I have no more sons of the royal blood for thee to murder. For my daughters, Richard, they shall be praying nuns, not weeping queens, and therefore level not to hit their lives.
You have a daughter called Elizabeth, virtuous and fair, royal and gracious.
And must she die for this? Oh, let her live, and I'll corrupt her manners, stain her beauty, so she may live unscarred of bleeding slaughter. I will confess she was not Edward's daughter.
Her life is only safest in her birth.
And only in that safety died her brothers.
You speak as if that I had slain my cousins.
Cousins, indeed. And by their uncle cozened, of comfort, kingdom, kindred, freedom, life. No doubt the murderous knife was dull and blunt till it was whetted on thy stone-hard heart to revel in the entrails of my lance.
Madam, so thrive I in my enterprise and dangerous success of bloody wars, as I intend more good to you and yours than ever you or yours were by me wronged. I mean that with all my soul I love thy daughter, and mean to make her Queen of England.
Say then, who dost thou mean shall be her king?
Even he that makes her queen, who should be else?
What, thou?
Even so. What think you of it, madam?
How canst thou woo her?
That would I learn of you, as one that are best acquainted with her humor.
And wilt thou learn of me? Then send to her by the man that slew her brothers a pair of bleeding hearts, thereon engrave Edward and York. Then haply she will weep, and bid her dry weeping eyes therewith. Send her a story of thy noble acts. Tell her thou madest away her uncle Clarence, her uncle Rivers, yea, and for her sake madest quick conveyance with her good Aunt Anne.
Come, come, you mock me. This is not the way to win your daughter.
There is no other way. Unless thou couldst put on some other shape and not be Richard that hath done all this.
Say that I did all of this for love of her.
Nay. Then indeed she cannot choose but hate thee, having bought love with such a bloody spoil.
Look, what is done cannot be now amended. If I did take the kingdom from your sons, to make amends, I'll give it to your daughter. The loss you have is but a son being king, and by that loss, your daughter is made queen. Again shall you be mother to a king. Go then, my mother, to thy daughter go. Make bold her bashful years with your experience. And when this arm of mine hath chastised the petty rebel, dull-brained Richmond, bound with triumphant garlands will I come, and lead thy daughter to a conqueror's bed.
What were I best to say? Her father's brother would be her lord? Or shall I say her uncle? Or he that slew her brothers and her uncles? Under what title shall I woo for thee?
Say I will love her everlastingly.
But how long shall that title ever last?
Sweetly enforce unto her fair life's end.
But how long fairly shall her sweet lie last?
As long as heaven and nature lengthens it.
So long as hell and Richard likes of it.
I swear.
By nothing. For this is no oath. If something thou wilt swear to be believed, swear then by something that thou hast not wronged.
I swear to love thy beauteous princely daughter. In her consists my happiness and thine. Without her follows to this land and me death, desolation, ruin, and decay. It cannot be avoided but by this. It will not be avoided but by this. Therefore, good mother, I must call you so, be the attorney of my love to her. Plead what I will be, not what I have been, not my deserts, but what I will deserve.
Shall I be tempted by the devil thus?
Aye, if the devil tempt thee to do good.
But thou didst kill my children.
But in your daughter's womb I bury them.
Shall I go win my daughter to thy will?
And be a happy mother by the deed.
I go. Write to me very shortly, and you shall understand from me her mind.
Bear her my true love's kiss, and so farewell. Relenting fool and shallow changing woman. Ugh.
My lord, Buckingham's army is dispersed and scattered. The Duke of Buckingham is taken. That is the best news. That the Earl of Richmond is with a mighty power landed at Milford is colder tidings, yet they must be told.
Away toward Salisbury. While we reason here, a royal battle might be won and lost. Someone take order, Buckingham be brought to Salisbury. The rest march on with me.
Lord Stanley's house.
Tell Richmond this from me, that in the sty of this most bloody boar, my son George Stanley is spranked up in hold. If I revolt, off goes young George's head. the fear of that withholds my present aid. But tell me, where is princely Richmond now?
In Wales, and then to Bosworth.
Return unto thy lord, commend me to him. Tell him the queen hath heartily consented. He shall espouse Elizabeth her daughter. Farewell.
Salisbury, a place of execution.
Will not King Richard let me speak with him?
No, my good lord.
This is All Souls' Day, Brackenbury, is it not?
It is, my lord.
Why, then All Souls' Day is my body's doomsday. This is the day that in King Edward's time I wish might fall on me if I was found false to his children or his wife's allies. Thus Margaret's curse is fallen upon my head. When he, quoth she, shall split thy heart with thy sorrow, remember Margaret was a prophetess. Come, sirs, lead me to this block of shame. Wrong hath but wrong, and blame the due of blame.
Richmond's camp.
Fellows in arms, and my most loving friends, bruised underneath the yoke of tyranny, thus far into the bowels of the land, have we marched on without impediment? And here I receive from Father Stanley lines of fair comfort and encouragement. The wretched, bloody, and usurping boar lies now even in the center of this isle, and Bosworth is but one day's march. In God's name, cheerily on, courageous friends, to reap the harvest of perpetual peace by this one bloody trail of sharp war. Then in God's name, march. True hope is swift and flies with swallows' wings. Kings it makes gods and meaner creatures kings.
Richmond's camp.
Fellows in arms, and my most loving friends, bruised underneath the yoke of tyranny, thus far into the bowels of the land, have we marched on without impediment? And here I receive from Father Stanley lines of fair comfort and encouragement. The wretched, bloody, and usurping boar lies now even in the center of this isle, and Bosworth is but one day's march. In God's name, cheerily on, courageous friends, to reap the harvest of perpetual peace by this one bloody trail of sharp war. Then in God's name, march. True hope is swift and flies with swallows' wings. Kings it makes gods and meaner creatures kings.
Bosworth Field.
Here, pitch our tents, even here in Bosworth Field. Here will I lie tonight. But where tomorrow? Well, all's one for that. Who has discovered the number of the traitors?
6,000 or 7,000 is their utmost power.
Why, our battalion trebles that account. Besides, the king's name is a tower of strength, which they upon the adverse party want. Let's fear no discipline, make no delay, for lords, tomorrow is a busy day.
The weary sun hath made a golden set, and by the bright track of this fiery car gives signal of a goodly day tomorrow.
And so, give you quiet rest tonight.
Good night, good captain. Come, gentlemen, let us consult upon tomorrow's business in our tent. The air is raw and cold.
Fortune and victory sit on thee.
All comfort that the dark night can afford be to thy person, noble father.
Prepare thy battle early in the morning, and put thy fortune to the arbitrament of bloody strokes and mortal staring war. With best advantage will deceive the time, and aid thee in this doubtful shock of arms. But on thy side I may not be too forward, lest, being seen, thy brother, tender George, be executed in his father's sight. Once more, adieu, be valiant, and speed well.
O thou whose captain I account myself, make us thy ministers of chastisement, that we may praise thee to the victory. To thee I do condemn my watchful soul.
I will not sup tonight. Give me wine. Send to Stanley's regiment. Bid him bring his power before sunrising, lest his son George fall into the blind cave of eternal night. Ratcliffe,
My lord.
about the mid of night, come to my tent and help to arm me. Leave me, I say.
Let me sit heavy on thy soul tomorrow. Think how thou stabbedst me in the prime of youth at Tewkesbury, therefore despair and die.
Let me sit heavy on thy soul tomorrow. Poor Clarence, by thy guile betrayed to death. Tomorrow in the battle think on me, and fall thy edgeless sword, despair and die.
Let me sit heavy on thy soul tomorrow. Rivers that died at Pomfret, despair and die.
Bloodily and guiltily awake, and in a bloody battle end thy days. Think on Lord Hastings, despair and die.
Dream on thy cousin smothered in the tower,
Let us be led within thy bosom, Richard.
and weigh thee down to ruin, shame, and death.
Thy nephew's souls bid thee despair and die.
Richard, thy wife, thy wretched Anne, thy wife, that never slept a quiet hour with thee, now fills thy sleep with perturbations. Tomorrow in battle think of me, and fall thy edgeless sword, despair and die.
The first was I that helped thee to the crown. The last was I that fell thy tyranny. Oh, in the battle think on Buckingham and die in terror of thy guiltiness.
On.
Dream on.
Of bloody deeds and death.
Death.
Breaking.
Despair.
Despairing.
Yield thy breath.
Have mercy, Jesu. Soft. I did but dream. Methought the souls of all that I had murdered came to my tent, and every one did threat tomorrow's vengeance on the head of Richard. Cold, fearful drops stand on my trembling flesh. Is there a murderer here? No. Yes, I am. Oh, coward conscience, how dost thou afflict me? My conscience hath 1,000 several tongues, and every tongue brings in a several tale, and every tale condemns me for a villain. I shall despair. There is no creature loves me, and if I die, no soul shall pity me.
Your friends are up and buckle on their armor.
Oh, Catesby, I have dreamed a fearful dream. Think you our friends will prove all true?
No doubt, my lord.
Oh, Catesby, I fear that...
Nay, good my lord, be not afraid of shadows.
My holy Jesus, shadows tonight have struck more terror to the soul of Richard than can the substance of 10,000 soldiers armed in proof and led by shallow Richmond. It is not yet near day. Come, I'll put on my armor.
Good morrow, Richmond. How have you slept, my lord?
The sweetest sleep and fairest Bowden dreams that could ever enter a drowsy's head. How far into the morning is it?
Upon the stroke of 4.
Why, then 'tis time to arm and give direction. More than I have said, loving countrymen, the leisure and enforcement of the time forbids to dwell upon. Yet remember this, God in our good cause fights upon our side. Richard is a bloody tyrant in a homicide, one raised in blood and one in blood established, who slaughtered those that were the means to help him. Then if you fight against God's enemy, God will in justice ward you as his soldiers. If you do sweat to put a tyrant down, you sleep in peace, the tyrant being slain.
Arm, my lord, the foe vaunts in the field.
Go, gentlemen, every man unto his charge. Let not our babbling dreams affright our souls. Conscience is but a word that cowards use. Our strong arms be our conscience, swords our law. March on, join bravely, let us to it pell-mell. If not to heaven, then hand in hand to hell.
If you do fight against your country's foes, your country's wealth shall pay the pains the higher. If you do fight in safeguard of your wives shall welcome home their conquerors. If you do free your children from the sword, your children's children quit in your age.
Remember whom you are to cope withal, a scum of foreigners and base-thinking peasants. Shall these enjoy our lands, lie with our wives, ravish your daughters? And who doth lead them but a paltry fellow, long kept in France at our mother's cost? A muling milksop, one that never in his life felt so much cold as overshoes in snow.
Then in the name of God and all these rights, advance your standards, draw your willing swords.
Let's whip these stragglers over the sea again. Hark, I hear their drum. Fight, gentlemen of England!
Sound drums and trumpets boldly and cheerfully. God and St. George, Richmond in victory.
What says Lord Stanley? Will he bring his power?
My lord, he doth deny to come.
Off with his son George's head!
My lord, the enemy is past the marsh. After the battle, let George Stanley die.
Advance our standards, set upon our foes. Upon them, victory sits on our helms.
The battlefield at Bosworth, mayhem and madness, deafening noises of battle.
Rescue the king, or else the day is lost.
A horse! My kingdom for a horse!
Withdraw, my lord, I'll help you to a horse.
I think there be 6 Richmonds in the field. 5 have I slain today instead of him.
King Richard and Richmond fight. Richard is slain.
The day is ours and the bloody dog is dead. The bloody dog is dead.
Courageous Richmond, well hast thou acquit thee.
But tell me, is your son George alive?
He is, my lord, and safe.
Proclaim a pardon to the soldiers fled, that in submission will return to us. We will unite the white rose and the red. England hath long been mad and scarred herself. The brother blindly shed the brother's blood. The father rashly slaughtered in his own son. The son compelled, been butchered to the sire. All this divided York and Lancaster. Divided in their dire division. Abate the edge of traitors, gracious Lord, that would reduce the bloody days again, and make poor England weep in the streams of blood. Let them not live to taste this land's increase, that would with treason wound this fair land's peace. Now civil wounds are stopped, peace lives again, and that she may live long here. God say amen.